Greetings, hello, habari, mambo, salama, shalom, shalom. Welcome to the channel. This is Wanda. This is Diaspora Connect Tanzania. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for taking the time to view my content in my channel. Thank you for your subscriptions. Thank you to my faithful subscribers that have been with me from day one. And welcome to my new subscribers. I want to say welcome to the channel and welcome in the room. So, my name is Wanda. I'm a native of New Jersey in the U.S., moved to Tanzania, Africa back in 2020, and July of 2020 for that matter, and then July 2025. Right now, it's been 5 years since I've lived in Tanzania, since I left the U.S. and relocated to Mama Land, back home to Mama, to Tanzania, Africa. So, welcome to my channel. Thank you for tuning in. I want to do a video today and talk about the best countries for African descendants to move to, relocate to, live in, immigrate to, repatriate to, expatriate to, whatever you want to call it, right? But the best countries for African descendants or Afro descendants to move to, live in, are, drum roll, countries where the citizens look just like you. Yes, family. The countries where the citizens look just like you. Those countries, so I don't have like a list of countries like some people do. I just generally find a country that people look like you. Google search, do research, and look at these different countries where you think you want to move to from out of your Western country or out of the Caribbean or out of any of the Western countries, any of the European countries, and you want to move to another country where you feel more comfortable, where you don't have to experience racism, discrimination, you don't have to deal with race soldiers like in the United States. You want to move to, I recommend that you look for countries where people look like you, basically, where you can blend in, where if you are in that country and you are in the midst of the locals and you don't say a word, they will never know that you are not from that country. Those are the countries that you should focus on trying to move to as an Afro descendant. I'm going to bring up the example of, I don't know if some of you subscribe to the biblical scriptures, but I do. I'm not a Christian. I don't call myself a Christian, but I am a Bible believer, right? So, like in the story of Moses, when he was a baby, you know, Pharaoh was telling the Egyptian doulas to unalive the Hebrew babies when they were born, the boys, unalive the male Hebrew babies when they would deliver the babies for the Hebrew women. So Moses' family hid him, you know, and they, you know, sent him out, you know, in the water. And then, you know, the story about Pharaoh's wife, and they knew he was a Hebrew baby, but they raised him as their own, and da-da-da-da-da. So he was successfully able to blend in and, you know, live amongst people that looked like him, even though he wasn't an Egyptian, but he was raised as an Egyptian, but he was really a Hebrew. So, same thing with us. If we want to live a peaceful life, if we want to live a comfortable life where we, you know, we don't feel like we are targeted because of the color of our skin and because of our features and our hair and this, we're so different from the people around us, it would be better if you relocated or moved to a country where the people look just like you. Also, another example is the Messiah, Christ, Hamashiach, our Redeemer. He hid amongst the Egyptians. Christ hid amongst the Egyptians because they were also still searching for him. They knew these are the enemies of Israel knew that there would be a Messiah raised up. There would be a Messiah. They just didn't know when and where. So they were just, their aim was just to get rid of all the baby boys, right? So even with the Messiah, he had to hide amongst the Egyptians. Because how? Why? It's because he looks like them and he blended in. So these are some things that we could take from the biblical scriptures and apply them to our lives practically. We could a practical application of this biblical story to our lives. If we're escaping and we're trying to escape any kind of European country, specifically Black Americans, you want to leave and you want to go, you want to leave the U.S. Around all the Europeans, because they make you feel some kind of way, race soldiers, discrimination, they've unalived your ancestors, they're hanging you from trees, all kind of wickedness. You want to get out of that environment. You want to move to another country where you live peacefully, you feel safe, you're not discriminated because of the color of your skin. You want to select a country where people look like you, Afro descendants. For me, I feel comfortable in Tanzania. I have seen Tanzanians that, specifically from the Mchaga tribe, the one at the foothills of Kilimanjaro, Moshi, they are my complexion. So I look like a lot of them. And from what I've heard, they have other tribes in Mwanza that I look like. I've been told this by locals. And I haven't been to those different locations as of yet. Eventually I want to go visit, but to see how I feel, right? But I've been told these things. So personally, I feel very at home here. Like, I don't feel like a foreigner. I don't feel like, that I don't feel different. I don't feel different from them, because I guess because we look alike. So even though the language barrier is there, and even though my accent, is there, it's different. But, when I speak Swahili, I'm out and about. And a lot of times they can't tell. Now, I think I've told you all this. When they see the hair is always a giveaway. They always know that I'm from somewhere else when they see my hair. And it's kind of weird too, because sometimes when they see my hair, they'll think that I'm Jamaican. When they see my hair, they'll ask me, am I Jamaican? So I don't know what it is about my hair that they think I'm from Jamaica when they see my hair, but I guess it's a good thing, because the Jamaicans are our brothers and sisters as well. Benjamin in the house. Benjamin is waking up. That's the Jamaicans. So they are our brothers and sisters, and they are the chosen of the Most High, the uncreated Creator. They are His chosen people, as well as for me. I'm from the tribe of Judah. I'm a Judahite. Born and raised in the U.S. Descendants of the transatlantic slave trade. Family was dispersed over 500 years ago. So we are the 16th region diaspora. So when I say diaspora, I don't mean the direct diaspora, meaning someone that lives in like Tanzania and they move abroad. That's their diaspora, their direct diaspora. But we are the 16th region diaspora. We are the historical ones, the ones that were initially stolen over 500 years ago from the continent and dispersed throughout the four corners of the earth. So there are four corners to the earth. So guess what that means? It's not round. There are four corners to it, right? Okay. At least that's what the Bible says, and I believe the Bible over man. But we were dispersed off the four corners of the earth, right? So, yeah. So anyway, you want to go to a country where you can blend in, where you can fit, they can't tell if you are a foreigner unless you speak. So when you're moving around in these large groups, because here on the continent, there are tons and tons and hundreds of thousands and millions of Africans. And they police their own communities. So it's not like police around for security and all that stuff all the time. Especially when you're in large markets and large, things are going on. You're in the cities. It's a lot of people at the beaches. there's not security. So you don't want to be someplace where you stand out. And they are very friendly to foreigners. Most of locals that I've met in Tanzania, even in Ghana, even if they see that you're a local, they're still friendly. They just friendly to locals. But still, if you want to feel like you're at home, right? You want everybody to just see you as everybody else, right? So when I cover my hair, they can never tell. They can never tell, and that's another reason why I love it so much here in Tanzania, because I do feel at home. I feel so at home here. It's just, words can't describe how at home I feel. I was on Facebook and I saw my first video. Today it popped up to when I first arrived in Tanzania, and I was on the plane. I was flying with Qatar Airline, and I had the mask, face mask here, and then I had the face shield, and I was just looking so miserable. But I was on the plane, and I got off the plane. I was walking through the Julius Nyerere Airport here in Dar, and I was walking through saying, I'm in Tanzania. Oh, it's so pretty, it's so beautiful. Like, it just brought back memories of when I left the U.S. to relocate, to move here. At the time, I was just staying for 2 weeks when I came. But then as I came and I stayed, I started really liking it. I felt comfortable, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to, I want to stay. So then I was like, okay, what can I do? Because I do want to stay. So I had to have a plan of, what am I going to do? Am I going to create a company? So I created a company. And so that was my only option, to be honest. Another option was to like volunteer at a local company, local Tanzanian business or company, or maybe volunteer like missionary work and all that. But I didn't want to do the missionary work because I think Africa has had enough of all these missionaries coming here, stealing resources and messing with children and all that stuff. So I didn't want to be associated with no missionary stuff. I mean, Africa does not need to be saved, right? They need they need investment. So, we should be trying to build up the continent and develop the continent, not coming over here trying to tell them about, trying to be like a missionary, right? They know about the Bible, right? They know about the Bible. So, especially in Tanzania, they have Christians and Muslims here. So they do know about the Bible. Don't need me to come over here and tell them about the Bible. But anyway, that was my purpose, for being able to stay long term, to be able to get a work permit, to be able to get a residency permit, etc. And then as I get older, close to retirement age, which I'm getting closer, then I can apply for a residency permit, because you renew your permits every 2 years. So, but anyway, so back to the topic at hand, I get off track. I get to chat and I get off track. But yeah, so if you are considering relocating as an Afro descendant, look for countries where people look like you, even in the Caribbean. My sister moved to Panama. I'm so happy and proud of her. And Panama looks beautiful. It looks very beautiful. But, Panamanians, they look like us. Even in I don't know if I recommend like Colombia or DRC. I haven't been recommending those two places because I've been hearing some stories, right? So I don't know about those. But, I'm pro-Africa too. I'm Pan-African like that. But, for some people, coming over to the continent is too far for them. Like, it's like from U.S., it's like 20-some hour trip. It's two flights, it's far from, like, their loved ones. You don't have that many direct flights you don't have any direct flights to Tanzania. You can find one to Kenya and then come next door. But most of us had to go through, like, the Middle East somewhere and come, from the U.S. and the Middle East to Qatar and back down. And now the Middle East, airspace is, I think it's closed. It might be back open because I guess they're negotiating like a ceasefire, but I don't know. I don't know how that's working. But anyway, it is pretty far. So, my sister gave me the idea because she moved to Panama, and she was saying that the reason she moved is because the reason that's the country she chose because it's only 6 hours from the U.S. So if you don't want to be as far, you can go there, especially if you still have relatives and all this stuff, and you want to be able to get back and forth a lot, and you want to, it's, you can stay closer. You don't have to come all the way over here. I have relatives there, but yeah, it didn't matter to me. I know what I was called to be. So I'm like, everybody's grown, doing their own thing. Even my son, he's grown. So I'm traveling solo, and I'm going where my spirit is leading me. So my spirit led me here to Tanzania. And I would say the Most High, the Almighty, has spoke to my spirit and led me over here. Not necessarily me, but his spirit spoke to my spirit, like, told me where I need to be, right? So I'm in this place right now. I don't know if this is my forever home, but I'm just waiting for the next direction, for the next instruction. I know I'm not going, I don't want to live back in the U.S. I would like to live somewhere on the continent, but we'll see how things go. Yeah. So if you are wanting to leave the U.S., because there's a lot going on, you see it. I don't have to beat a dead horse. I don't have to, I kind of cut back on so much of the political stuff because everybody's talking about it. So if you're online in any capacity, you should know kind of like a lot of what's going on about the big beautiful bill that was passed. That's what Trump calls it, the big beautiful bill. It's a big horrible bill, but it's been passed, and so a lot of benefits are going to be cut for people. Medicaid, Medicare, SNAP, food stamps, some student loans. It's a lot of benefits that we had. They're being cut, and so hopefully you're thinking about why are our benefits being cut? Why are they rolling back? Desegregation to segregation again. It's like we are going back instead of forward in the U.S. We're going back as far as black people, right? Well, it's time, family. The U.S. was never meant to be our forever home. Now, for those who are FBAs and indigenous to the U.S., you have a different perspective, right? Therefore, this channel is really not for you. This channel is for Afro descendants. So I come from an Afro descendant perspective or a Pan-African perspective. So not a foundational, when I say foundational Black American, because I consider myself a foundational Black American, and that my ancestors built the U.S. and they were there over 500 years ago. So in that aspect I am, but I'm not an Indian. I'm not indigenous to the U.S. I'm indigenous to Africa. I'm indigenous to Africa in that my bloodline and my descendants derive from the African continent. And so that's my perspective. So when I speak from that perspective. But what I was saying is America was never meant to be your forever home, Afro descendants. Never meant to be your forever home. It was just your punishment. It was your jail sentence. It was your prison term. But after you served your punishment and you were free, you were released, now you can leave. You have a passport. That's what your ancestors bled and died for, as well as the other benefits that you have in the states that you're losing. They bled and died for those too, but they're rolling them back. So you won't be able to benefit from those benefits anymore because they're rolling them back. But one thing that we still have that we can benefit from is our passport, which opens the door and allows us to travel. Because at one point, slaves couldn't even travel. They couldn't get passports and travel, right? So now that we have our passports, if we don't like certain things and we don't feel comfortable living in a certain place or living in this United States, we can leave. We have a passport. It's our choice. If we have the money, we can leave. And that's what I chose to do. That's what a lot of people are choosing to do. And you can also choose to do that if that's something that you desire, if that's something that you want to do. If you want to stay in the United States and you want to fight, because you will be fighting. You're not going to be over there and have peace.
it's not going to be possible to live in the United States and have peace, because there's no peace. Peace is being removed from the United States. So you have to come out of her and go to another place where there is peace. For me, at my age, I don't feel like fighting. When I left in 2020, I was tired of fighting. I got tired of seeing our brothers and sisters shot down in the street like dogs. I got tired of seeing our brothers and sisters hung from trees. I was ready to go, because if you stay in an environment like that, you become desensitized to all this stuff that's happening to you, and then you start to see it as normal, and you start to see it as, oh, that's no big deal. It's a massive deal. It's a huge problem, family. And so for my sensitivity, I'm a sensitive person spiritually. I had to go, because it was eating away at me. It was chipping away at my humanity. It was chipping away at my spirit, my heart. It was cutting down. Every time I heard of another black man being shot unjustly, young kid being unalived, all that, it was doing something to me. Even though it wasn't my personal relative, it felt like it, because those are my people, right? So I've always had a love for our people, always had a love for our people. Even when I was younger, people used to say my sister's older than me, and people used to say I used to fight for her all the time. My family used to tell me, you used to fight with her. You always fighting for your sister, and she was older than me. I was the fighter, and she was the good child. She was the good, quiet child. I was like the fighting one, bad grades. Yeah, I would fight for her. Somebody did something to her or said something to her, I'd be ready to fight. So I've always had a love for my people. And so I just can't sit here and see people mistreat my people and just sit there and just live like ain't nothing happening. I've never been able to live in this fantasy, even though I was also in the Matrix and I was also asleep at one point. But I have never been asleep when it comes to people being abused or mistreated or unalived, unjustly locked up in prison, I've never been okay with that. But for me, I couldn't change it, right? I got to a point where when I realized that voting wasn't going to change our situation, no matter who we voted for, whether it was Dems or Reps, nothing changed our predicament, nothing changed our condition in the treatment that we received in the U.S. So I was just fed up at my age. I was just like, I'm ready to go. I'm tired of fighting. I want to live my rest of my days out in peace, from birth to 50 to 49. From birth to 50, yeah. From birth to 50, I lived in the U.S. and dealt with that the whole time. Now, for 5 years, I've been in an environment where it's peaceful, it's calm, it's quiet, it's serene. I feel safe. I'm in that type of environment. Therefore, I can deal with my own hurts, my own or our own. Everybody got their demons that they gotta get out. They gotta deal with, right? I can now deal with my own issues or the demons. I can deal with those, to get those out, to get your spirit clean and cleanse your mind right, your mind healed, restored. Get all that gook out that you that you have absorbed living in the West. It's very toxic there. So we have to heal. That's a part of healing. When you come out and you can have peace. People take vacations because they need to decompress. They need to kind of get away and rest and heal in those 2 weeks. But for me, yeah, I was like, yeah, I don't want just a 2 week, because I did have a 2 week planned vacation when I first got here. I had 2 weeks off, but I decided to create something different for my life and do something different. So I made that decision. No, I didn't know how things was going to turn out. I didn't know how the finances was going to work out. Like I said, I had an idea. But when you come to Africa, sometimes all these grand ideas go out the window, because you have to work around how the system works in that country, how you do business, or how whatever you plan on doing. You got to figure out how it works. And sometimes it takes time. I mean, even for me, I've been here this year 5 years, and with business, I'm still learning stuff in business. The great thing is I'm so grateful that I created a consultation business, because that's like simple, it's not as much that like when you're selling products and all this different stuff, it could be a lot. It could be a lot, and then you could be out of money too if if you're not careful with the things you're buying from, who you're buying it from. But so I'm grateful for the decisions I made for my life. It works for me. It may not work for everybody, but it's working for me. And even the income that I do generate, that I do make through my own skills of advising and consulting people, it's enough for me to survive. It's enough for me to live comfortably. I'm not balling out of control, as y'all can see. I live kind of simple. I have a nice little modest apartment. I don't need a lot. I just need the basic, like we all need, hot water, a bed, shower, just the basic couch, table, just the basic stuff just to survive. But I actually have a lot of room compared to some people who have like the tiny homes. This apartment is bigger than a tiny home. So I have plenty of space. I live very comfortably. So I've been really blessed by our Father. I've had really great landlords. I haven't had any landlord nightmares like some people. And so, yeah, all has been well for me. And, everybody's walk is different and everybody's path is different. So we do have to pray, get consultations from people who are in the country that you want to, relocate to, visit, immigrate to, do business or whatever. It is worth the money that they charge you to consult with them, because they give you a wealth of information that you may not be able to get online. I know I share so much information with people that it's not online. Some things you just can't put online, and some things is like based on your personal walk that you learn, right? Because it may not be somebody else's experience that have been here the same amount of time I've been here, But for me, I share what I have learned with people, and through my walk and through my life here and all that. I just share all that. So if you are interested in leaving the West and relocating to a country, make sure you decide that it's the country where people look like you. You don't want to go to a country where they don't look like you, and right now they're good with you, right? But then they can turn and start, you are the target. So for instance, if you're in an Asian country, you are the target if they turn on you. If something happens where, they're very nice, sweet in Thailand and China and Japan, wherever, they're nice and sweet now, but what if something happens to where they get mad at the U.S. or something, or they get mad at Africa or something like that, and then they're frustrated, they want to take their frustrations out, they're going to take it out on the first person that look like they from Africa, that look like they from, now with the U.S. it's kind of tricky, because when we're outside the U.S., most people don't think that we're from the U.S. When they see black people, they don't automatically say they're from the U.S. unless they hear us speak. When they see us, even when we go to like Japan or China or all these, even maybe, I don't know, Latin America, maybe, because, they got people that look like us. But I would say like European countries or whatever, they will automatically think we're from somewhere in Africa. So that's another sign to show you where you might be from. Because if everybody sees you, right, and you travel around the world and people see you and you don't open your mouth, right, you don't say anything, they just see you, they're going to automatically think that you're from the continent of Africa. Everywhere you go around the world, they're going to automatically. Now, if you're in the Latin America, they have people that look like us. So, they might think you're from, there, Brazil and, different places. But other than that, the European places, they're going to automatically think you're from Africa. They're not going to automatically think you're from the U.S. or from America. It's not going to be an automatic thing. They have to really watch you, and they have to really listen to what you have to say. Sometimes how you dress is a sign where you're from, how you do your hair, and how your mannerisms are. Sometimes they can just watch you and be like, okay, she's not from Africa, she's from the States, or something like that. But find a country where you can blend in. Find a country where you, especially if you are a 70s baby like me, if you are a Gen
X. I keep mixing Gen X and Gen Z. My son is a Gen Z. I'm a Gen X. So if you're a Gen X, you want peace. I would think you do. Now, at my age or our age or the Gen X age, if you still trying to fight in the U.S. and fight them for every little scrap that the massa want to give you, I don't know if you want to spend what's the life that you have left fighting these people when we've been doing it from birth to this age, family. I'm just tired of fighting. I don't want to fight. I'm done with fighting. I just want peace, safety, freedom, happiness. That's what I want. And so, as you can see, I'm very happy here. I'm at peace here. All is well for me. Business is consistent. I would say it's consistent, and I'm working on another project outside of YouTube. I might, if I decide to show anything about my project, it'll be a Patreon. I'll create a Patreon, and people will have to pay a monthly fee to see my personal stuff. I'm not going to just show it because too many people watch, and people who watch, y'all know the whole world watches, and everybody is not for you, family. You have enemies, especially when you're born and raised in the U.S. You have a birth certificate, you have a social security card, you got a pass. They think they own you. They think they own the descendants of slaves. They think they own you, right? So when you come outside of her, they still watch you. They still watch your family. They still monitor your devices. They want to see if you a spy, and they want to see if your loyalty still lie with them, or if it's lying with another country that you have moved to. They watch. I already noticed all my devices are monitored and tapped and recorded. I already know that. So they're not fooling me. That's another reason why I decide I'm not going to show my personal details of my project on here for everybody. So don't think you're ever going to see what I'm doing. I might show little little snippets here and there, but it's not going to be, you'll never know. You'll never know unless you know me personally and I share with you personally. Or, like I said, I might create a Patreon. And when I start being consistent in working on my project or whatever, I might create a Patreon where, you have the levels of the level 1 is $1.99, level 2 is $2.99, something like that. People do. I might create something like that, a Patreon where people pay so they'll get exclusive content on what I am doing, right? So that's probably what I'll do. But anyway, I just wanted to do this video about encouraging people to look into countries where you blend in, where you feel comfortable, where your skin color is like everybody else's, and you don't have to deal with racism and white supremacy. You want to be an Afro descendant country where people look like you. So you'll feel more comfortable. Yeah, you have to use wisdom and pick a country where that is safe, of course. If you're interested in the continent, there are some countries that a lot of Black Americans are moving to, or Afro descendants are moving to, like Ghana, South Africa. You have some now in Namibia, Botswana. We have West Africa. You have Ghana, Nigeria. You have Sierra Leone. Some people say Burkina Faso. I will be very kind of apprehensive about Burkina Faso right now, only because enemies of the Captain Traore, Abraham Traore, his enemies are constantly trying to unalive him. And so you got to be careful about going to a country like that right now, because if they're always trying to come for him, the security in the country is going to be kind of like heightened. And so even they don't know you when you come there. So you got to be careful, because you could be questioned, you can be watched, just for security. Not that they have an issue with you, but they don't know you. Because a lot of times the West uses people who look just like us. A lot of times, look what
Look how Langley was with Traore. Look, he opened his mouth and put his mouth on his own brother. So just because, that don't mean nothing. You just want to be careful about going to a country where there is any conflict right now, especially if you're a foreigner. So try to go to places where that's peaceful. So we have East Africa, we got Tanzania, we got Kenya, we got Uganda, we got Rwanda. You got Zambia. I think Zambia is part of the South African community, but I know a lot of people in Zambia. So there are countries that you can check out if you want to be in the continent. Otherwise, you might want to try the Caribbean somewhere, Barbados, or it's a lot of us in Barbados. They look beautiful too. Ooh, just like Panama. Those Caribbean islands look very beautiful. But anyway, I guess that's it for this video. Thank you so much for taking the time to view my content. Don't forget to thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Hit on the notification bell so you can be notified. So whenever I do a new video or live, you'll be notified. Make sure you click the bell notification button and hit all so you can make sure that you get all the notifications. People are being unsubscribed and all that stuff. And so, I'm trying to keep my videos in circulation, trying to keep the ideas coming. And, thank you so much. And don't forget to go back through and check out some of my, actually, you could actually go all the way back to when I first left in July of 2020 and when I first arrived in Tanzania. And you can see my experience of when I first arrived. I showed a video of the hotel I stayed in. It was so local, y'all. It was local. So it had a little, the area was a little ghetto-ish, kind of fabulous looking, but I was used to that from being in the city. So I was raised in the city, so it had that little ghetto-ish look, but the room was nice and the food was fresh. It was great, and the service was beautiful. And I didn't even really know Swahili, so I had learned, slowly. But anyway, I think you'll enjoy my journey, and especially if you look at that video and then now you look at me now, you'll see the difference in like how I look and the way I, talk, and just you'll see the same love and excitement for Tanzania. I've never changed that, even through the tough times or through the rough times, because I did get burglared one time being here, and I learned a lot from that. I learned to use wisdom in some things and make sure everything is locked up and not to get too comfortable. So you still have to use wisdom. So I learned that. But as a single solo traveler, it's possible because I did all this by myself. Along the way. And I just had to pray, ask the Father to lead and guide me, and I just figured things out on my own. And you can do it too. So don't feel like because you're single, you're a solo woman, you want to leave, but you're nervous. We're everywhere. We're single, solo black women in every country, in Ghana, even on the continent, South Africa. You got to be careful in South Africa, though, because they have a femicide situation going on that I heard about. And that's actually even in the United States, too. So I'm not like saying, oh, don't go there or anything. Just use wisdom. You know what I'm saying? Use wisdom in how you move as a solo single woman. You don't want to be hanging out at night too much. I know people like to party, but, make sure you in groups when you do things like that, especially if you're out at night. Even for me here in Tanzania, I'm normally not out at night. I'm usually in the house before dark, but if I'm out, it's usually riding somewhere, or I have a personal driver, so he'll take me where I need to go, and I'm usually like coming back and it's dark. It's rare that I'm going out at night unless something happens unusual and I need to get out somewhere. But I do have a personal driver, so I make sure I call him and he protects me. He takes care of me. I could take a nap in the bajaji and it's open, like people can jump in there, He looks out for me. So I've been blessed with a protective, and I've had several drivers that like look out for me. They protect me. They've taken me to the market. One of them, when I first met my partner, he took me to the market because I was looking for to buy something, and we were walking down there, and he was like, "Give me your phone." And so I'm like, "Why?" He was like, "I want to hold your phone." I'm like, well, I could put it, and he's like, no, let me just carry it. So he had his phone in one hand and my phone in the other, and we were down at the market. He was like, yeah, they won't snatch it from me. He said, so I've had brothers here that really looked out for me. I've had Tanzanian men that really looked out for me. So
Don't worry about being single, because it's not like in the West. They help you here. They look out for you. They do things for you. They'll run to the store for you. They'll pick up things for you. They'll look for things for you, prices for you. Like they do a lot. They'll help you out. So, but anyway, thank you so much. And I will do another video in the next couple of days. So I would say, have a good rest of your day. Shalom, salama, peace. See you guys in the next video or the next live. Shalom.